Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Devon T. Reese. He's the Reno City Councilman in the at-large seat. He is here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Hello, is this D&D Roofing?
Yes, it is. How may I help you?
You did such a great job on my roof. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner.
Oh, can I speak to your supervisor?
Sure.
How may I help you?
I love your work. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner. We're all owners. Well, that's why at D&D we work so hard to keep your home safe and sound.
Oh, no wonder.
D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal. Local, employee-owned, here for you.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're delighted to be joined by Devon Reese. He is Reno City Councilman in the at-large seat. Pleasure to have you on the program for the first time, sir.
Well, thanks for having me. Always a privilege.
Hutchison and Stephan is the name of the law firm you work for, and Mark Hutchison has been a good friend of this program for many years.
Yeah, he's just a great guy and a privilege to work with him and proud to work alongside him for Nevadans.
We're going to be taping in Las Vegas in a couple of weeks. I need to make a phone call and get Mark back on the program.
I bet he'd be happy to do it.
So for you, is this a great time to be a Reno City Councilman or one that gives you grave concern for the city of Reno and its future?
Oh, it's a great time. I mean, we live in an incredible place. We have great people who work for us. There's a lot of positive momentum towards, just building a future that includes everybody in this community. So I'm honored to do it. I do think it's an exciting time because there's lots of changes. There's never a dull moment. And we just continue to do the work of the people. It's
interesting. I moved to Reno in 1978, which is when the MGM opened, which is now the Grand Sierra. And that at the time was 1,000 rooms, and it changed the community forever. I mean, it was a massive growth spurt. And it's interesting to track where we are now with Tesla and the Tesla effect and compare it to what happened with the MGM, because a lot of the same things occurred, which is you didn't have enough housing. You had construction workers sleeping in tents on the Truckee River. You didn't have enough phone lines, so people were forced to have party lines. There weren't enough apartments. Sound familiar?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's often interesting when people do have that historical background with a place. I was born and raised here, and so this is home for me. I guess I predate you by about 4 years, but don't have the same memories you have. So, I mean, I think it's true that when growth happens, there are consequences no one planned for, and there's also things that happen that are good things that no one anticipated. So it's sort of a mix of both right now. I think our national landscape really informs a broader sort of look-see at what's going on in terms of how people are employed, where they live, how they ambulate and get around. I mean, all those things are part of a developing economy and a developing region that has changed. We are not a sort of a casino-based economy, and we haven't been for many years. And so as we have changed from that to reflect a different kind of economic reality. And inevitably there are things that happen that some people won't be happy about, and there are other things that people really like. But it's exciting.
All right, so just to hit the casino thing for a second, even though the casino industry is not as widespread as it was before, it is still if you change it from casino to entertainment, it is still a big piece of the pie. And in addition, where Las Vegas is looking at about 32% of revenue from gaming, in Northern Nevada, it's around 60%. So it's still a pretty healthy chunk.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that we continue to be a place that people want to visit and recreate. I think the difference now is that they come and they might stay at the GSR, but then they go and ski in Tahoe or they go hike out in the desert. Our economy, I think, is very diverse in that regard. I think also you're seeing an inevitable tech boom as people flee from California. They come out of Silicon Valley. They find a good transportation corridor along I-80 that makes this place unique among places that can handle a diverse economy. Our casino partners in this region continue to be a driver of growth and employers, but I think people know that it too is a part of a story. It's not the only story.
Yes, and I would agree with you on that. My point in the historic timeline was that from 1978, when the boom was exploding, you had MGM opening, you had 4 other casinos either expanding or opening for the first time. Here, within a couple of years, you started to see a no-growth push. You saw the Mayor Barbara Bennett come into office, and followed by Pete Sferrazza. And they were pushed by people saying, hey, we liked Reno the way it was. We don't want this growth. We're seeing something very similar now. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do think that there is a reaction that people have to change. Everyone is not always real eager to embrace change, and there does seem to be a certain segment of the population that is reluctant to grow in that way. But I think they also are thinking about what drives the quality of life issues. So when traffic gets out of control, they're thinking about why are all the people coming here. I think the truth is we can't prevent people from loving what we have here. I want often to tell people, hey, it's a well-kept secret, but it's not. People know it's a good place to live. It's a good place to raise a family. The quality of life issues mean that people want to be here. And I don't think we can, bar the door. We don't have the ability to tell people, no, this is not the kind of community that's going to be welcoming to you. And so it's the inevitable bad part of growing. People don't like change. And so, but I think we do have a good group of people here who are working to grow the community responsibly, who are thinking about why people move here and what that will mean for our transportation infrastructure, what it means for housing, how it impacts our wage growth or lack thereof. These are important things. And ultimately, I think there's a lot more that unites us than divides us. And so if we just find that common ground for how we can sort of row in the rowboat together, that's maybe not an artful analogy, but I think it does help to think about us as being a special place where people do want to be.
No argument on your last comment there. From me, I think that one of the things that has slowed the no-growth attitude, which, as you say, is typical when you go through an era of great change, is the recession, where so many people for a long time didn't know where the next dollar was going to come from because they didn't have jobs. The unemployment rate was through the roof, not just in Reno, but across the entire state. And so that delayed the effect for a while. I think also at this point, as you say, California is not going to stop regulating. California is not going to stop raising prices of housing. And that's going to force people who live in a $60,000 home that costs $1 million to want to take that $1 million and come to Nevada and buy a home.
Which they are doing, and I think they're doing a lot of that. I think we're seeing people who are moving here and they're taking their sale of their California residence and they're buying 2 residences here, one to live in, one is income property. And it's, you're right, there was a period of time in our region where the recession really slowed down all of the things that were happening around us. And as we sort of have clawed our way out of it, we're still not fully healed or recovered. I mean, I think about our just our Parks and Recreation Department at the city that is still struggling with a budget that is, you know, maybe 50%, even a third less than it was pre-recession. We're talking about public safety agencies like police and fire that are still dealing with more people but less resources.
Okay, but I mean, you can lay that at the feet of property tax caps.
Yeah, there's something about the way that the Nevada legislature has set us down a path that I think hopefully that same body will look at and find a way to course correct. There's no doubt that that creates a structural imbalance in our budget that is something that I can't fill, right? Something that even the city council, with its limited authority in the state of Nevada under a Dillon's rule system, is not going to overcome. And so what you do is you work smarter, not harder. You make choices in your budgeting, which is hard to make but necessary, and you just you want to believe that they'll fix some things in the next section of the legislature, I hope. We'll see.
And what kind of discussions have you been involved in so far on that track?
Yeah, we haven't had a lot because, you know, as people come out of a session, there's a big sigh and they try to take 6 months to hibernate, I think. And then, but right about now is when we'll start to have those conversations. Some of the interim committees have started to look at the different ways in which our structurally imbalanced system is going to, you know, it really sets us up long term to fail. And so, you know, there are conversations that are had, you know, over dinner or over coffee, but nothing really substantive. We right now don't have a policy director for the city of Reno. It's one of the open positions. And so I know that as we get into our budget process, it's going to really shine the light on that sort of imbalance, which then is going to drive our legislative priorities. So I think we're in a position and want to have those conversations. I just don't think a lot of them have been had yet.
All right, so obviously the tax caps came because of Prop 13. That moved over to Nevada. Nevadans embraced that. You have a huge population of nonpartisan or independent voters in Nevada. Do you think that they will get very excited if they suddenly see not only the potential for property tax increases, but with the Teachers Association in Clark County wanting to raise taxes both on gaming and on sales tax, that you're going to be looking at, whoa, how many taxes do we think the public is going to absorb?
Well, you know, Nevada, because of its history, and I sort of refer to it as a land-based ethic, it's a western state which is blessed by an abundance of natural resources and by a very low tax system and structure. I think ultimately that doesn't get people excited, because I don't believe that taxes are always the answer to every problem. I don't believe that we should be spending money we don't have. I also don't believe that we should make it difficult for people to be successful. So I think you're right that there's going to be some reluctance by people to embrace any kind of taxation. I think it's just innate to human nature. But if you look at like the WC1 question, the SOS Washoe question last time.
And that was for raising funds for the school district.
Yes, and so I think, again, I use this by example just to explain that when you help the community understand what the need is and what the priority is, they'll get behind it, right? It's when you are sort of talking in the abstract about taxes, but you don't connect it to our parks, our police officers, our public safety infrastructure, that people don't really get excited about it. I mean, I think everyone who lives here cares greatly about our schools, about the quality of life, the environment, about public safety. And so you have to be able to tell a story that says, look, here's why we have this hole or this deficit that's been created by, you know, what I think is a regressive tax structure. But at the same time, what we're going to do with that money is, you know, X, Y, or Z. And in that regard, you're telling a story. And, you know, that telling of a story is how you get people to buy into any kind of change, right?
But do you not think, though, that you can only tackle one issue at a time? And you can't tackle one issue every 2 years, otherwise the public is going to reject that.
Yeah, I agree with that principally. I mean, I do think that people are able to sort of multitask and, you know, walk and talk and chew gum at the same time. But I think because of the unique nature of the legislature only meeting every 2 years, you really have to be laying that groundwork during the interim sessions, and you have to be having those conversations, and you have to be able to engage all of the stakeholders that are involved in that process, whether it's parents who are thinking critically about their children's education, people who are thinking about the ways in which their elderly folks on a fixed income dealing with property taxes are very difficult in that situation. And then there are folks who aren't homeowners, right? So they're not thinking about how property tax affects them. So you really do have to have those conversations, and you have to have them early and often.
All right, let's take a break. More with Devon Reese when we come back.
Tamarack Junction is South Reno's hotspot with over 450 of the latest slots and video games. Sully's Sports Bar, the Dining Car Restaurant, William Hill Sportsbook, and the Tamarack Steakhouse and Lounge. We're just north of the Summit Mall in South Virginia. Yeah.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
The Tamarack Junction Steakhouse is known for signature steaks, handcrafted cocktails, and world-class wines. Join us Thursdays and Friday nights from 4:30 to 6:30 in the Steakhouse Lounge for live music, gourmet plates, and well-priced wines, just north of the Summit Mall on South Virginia.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Devon Reese. He's the Reno City Councilman at large. I want to talk to you about what's going on in the city, because there's, to an outsider, some pretty crazy stuff. You're losing the city manager, but she's staying on to help with the transition. You're losing the assistant city manager, who's going to the RTC of Washoe County. And there's a lot of discussion about Jenny Breckus, one of the city councilwomen, who has gotten into it with staff over a long period of time. What is the public to make of this?
I mean, I hope that the public understands that.
They don't understand anything, man.
No, I mean, I think, well, you'd be surprised what they know and what they appreciate. I think what people ought to understand is that the work of the city goes on. It marches on. It doesn't really always have to do with the strong personalities or not on the council. We have, 1,000 or more employees in the city of Reno at any given time. They are working very hard in the service of this community. They're what's right and good about all the things that we do. That being said, we are challenged with being a small community where some people have come and stopped here briefly before they go on to other things. I never begrudge anyone who wants to go somewhere else to make a better life for themselves.
Yeah, but I mean, let's look at the root problem. I mean, one of the reasons why a city manager leaves is when, in the type of city managership that we have, that city council people start interfering with their responsibilities, and they don't understand the dividing line between what a council person does, what the mayor does, versus what the city manager does. And in Reno, we have a strong city manager position. If you get in the way of that, that is not a good place to be.
Well, I don't think anyone tries to get in the way of it, as you've said. I think the role of each, both the city manager and the members of the council, are defined in such a way that we're working together. I get it that to the outside it looks like there's a lot of friction, or there can be the appearance of friction, but really below the surface, I just think that's not there. We have an incredible body of people on the City Council from different political stripes, because we are all nonpartisans, that are working very hard to solve the issues. Now, we disagree at times, and at times vehemently disagree with the policy decisions that the group will make, but we make them together, right? It's about coalitions and building coalitions broadly. I'm proud to serve as the at-large member for the City Council, so I don't have a ward to represent like the mayor. I represent the entire city. And I find that my job is to go to the ward members and find out what they need in their ward, what projects are important to them, how they impact them. And the city manager, I think, in much the same way, attempts to navigate that as well. Now, our city manager, Ms. Newby, has been an excellent leader. I think she has worked very hard. She wants to go back to her family in Las Vegas. You know, our assistant city manager, who could have known that another opening would come up in the region that would involve a particular skill set that he has in the RTC. So these things are more coincidental than they are related to an overall concern by management staff.
You know that there's a lot of people that are going to disagree with you on that comment. That yes, these two people are terrific people at what they're doing, and there's a great deal of concern within the community that is aware of who these two people are, that they're basically being chased out by a council person who, for example, refused a meeting with 20 of her subordinates because she didn't want to do that. Do you not have concerns? This council person, Jenny Breckes, is up for re-election. Are you going to support her in her re-election effort, or would you, prefer to see somebody else coming into that slot?
Well, I think I'm going to focus on my own race. I was just appointed a year ago. I think it's important that you stay focused on your lane. Each council member brings a different set of skills, right? I like to say when I'm on the dais at times, and apparently there's a drinking game about it, I'm a lawyer. So sometimes my comments I preface with as a lawyer. Councilmember Breckes often says as a planner. Mayor Sheevy says as a small business person. Councilmember Jardin has an incredible HR background. Everybody brings a little different skill set to the table, right? And I don't think it's fair to say that anyone's been chased out of Reno. I just don't see that. I mean, I sit in some of those meetings, and I understand that tempers flare. I understand that a lot of people who are in politics have type A personalities, and they're sometimes used to getting their way or being able to speak their way to an outcome. But it's not what's happened. If it were, I'd share it with you. I would tell you, and I'd be the first to say, hey, we've got a problem. But the truth is that we have good employees. We have a good job opening that's going to come up here.
Okay, and I have to cut you off here.
Sure,
Just going to take one more break, and then we'll be right back.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. At Design Outdoor, we specialize in all hardscapes, pavers, and walls you'll need for everything, from wonderful small yards to full-blown outdoor living. And we only refer the best contractors to make your vision a reality. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York. And because I represent men in all family law matters, women often call me gender traitor, woman hater, and even disgusting. So why represent men and target myself with these offensive monikers? It's simple. Children with fathers in their lives are 6 times less likely to drop out of school, 15 times less likely to go to prison, and 5 times less likely to commit suicide. So ladies, you can hate me, but please love your children more than you hate their fathers.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Reno City Councilman at Large, Devon Reese. Lee Gibson, former head of the RTC, was on this program just before he stepped down. And he said that for us to be able to do the infrastructure projects that we need, for example, a widening of I-80, et cetera, that don't look to the federal government. It's going to have to be regional governments that fund this. In addition to what you were talking about in terms of needing to raise taxes, do you think that the public is going to go for that one as well?
You know, I listened to your conversation with the last couple of guests, including Britton Griffin, who you had this conversation with, and I thought, you know, the answer is a telling one. At the end of the day, our budget, and that's my budget and your budget, reflects our priority. I think you take Uber to work most days, right? You don't necessarily have a two-car economy. I have a car. I don't necessarily ride the bus. And so all of those things are decisions about the choices we're making, and those choices have big impacts. And so as we think about how we pay gas tax to widen roads, or as we think about how we where we want to live in the region, all those things implicate a broader concern about transportation. Is the public going to get behind better infrastructure? I think they will. How we get there, you know, that's probably up to people above my pay grade.
And that's where we have to leave it. Thank you, sir. Pleasure to have you on the program.
Appreciate it, always. Thanks
and we'll
again.
be right back. A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Don't forget, another way of watching Nevada Newsmakers is to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. We'll see you on the next broadcast.